Hello, fellow ex-citizens. Welcome to another episode. So, as you know, at this Xity channel, we talk about the ongoing work to build our first microtech city in Liberia, and this city is called Xity. If this is your first time joining us, we talk about Xity, but we also provide some tips, and then we also sometimes just talk about the business environment in Liberia in general. But if you are looking for a nice place to build your residential home in Liberia, if you are a Liberian in the diaspora or at home and you want a trusted business that will build your home in a nice and well laid out residential community, look nowhere else but to Xity. So Xity is going to be a micro-tech city that is going to be located along the RIA highway, and it consists of multiple zones that you will find in big cities. It consists of a commercial zone with uptown shopping district. It consists of a separate industrial zone that will host all of our light manufacturing companies and industrial type of job opportunities. And then it will also have a residential community where residents, people we can buy their spot for us to construct well-built homes for them, right? So we maintain certain standard of quality in the residential community. It is well laid out. You do not have situation where you run into your neighbor's construction that is basically overshooting his land. Situations with someone dumping garbage on a property next to yours. So all of those will be avoided, and this is why we have an already well planned and laid out community, and people are already buying their properties there, and we are going to begin construction as early as the beginning of next year, right? So that is what Xity is about, and reach out to us. Our WhatsApp number is here, and you can check out the website for more information. Reach out and let us help you build your home. We are a trusted group of people. Speaking of trust, this is what this conversation today is about. So that was just my opener for Xity advertisement. But today the conversation is going to be about trust, and especially when it comes to trust in Liberian businesses. So, starting a business in Liberia is hard, not only because of the, existing conditions, the state of things there, which, by the way, also provide you an opportunity to really invent a lot of things, which is cool, which is nice. You can innovate. It also provides you that, a tabula rasa type of opportunity, right? A clean slate upon which you can start to actually build things from scratch and reinvent and basically build things that are new and have never existed before, right? So it's not like you're going to tear down to rebuild, right? So you're building from scratch, you're building everything new. You have the opportunity to tap into some of the latest development innovations in the business sector you find yourself in. And for us, for instance, one of the things that we did is basically to think about what are the latest principles for urban design, right? So those are some of the things we have incorporated into Xity. But besides those challenges that are there are other challenges where maybe your business relies on other existing businesses for, their services. An example of this is when we started building the XHQ building, we needed to make our bricks or buy bricks from other people, right? And we decided to buy concrete blocks from existing companies. We ran into some issues. We have a principle that basically forces us to prioritize buying from Liberians, businesses, to basically promote and help revitalize or at least reinvigorate the Liberian business environment. However, what we've noticed is that in a lot of the dealings, not all of them, in a lot of the dealings with Liberian businesses, they do not care about upholding trust, or at least even, let's forget about upholding. They actually do not care about earning your trust. So because of this, it worries me. Here we are in Liberia. The Liberian participation in businesses, entrepreneurship, is already very low, dismally low. And then those that are participating, when you start to actually patronize them, they basically exhibit behaviors that doesn't inspire confidence, right? It doesn't inspire trust. So how do we emerge from that? It doesn't make sense for us to, being in this type of state, and then we're not doing things to help ourselves. So I've had many, many experiences. And I don't want to be specific about experiences, but maybe it will help for me to be. There is one instance where, I normally buy rice in bulk, like multiple like bags of rice, right? And store them in our storage. And this is used basically to supply our workforce, right? We are in the construction industry. This is one of the things. The people who are on payroll, they have to basically have some food. So we have to have food delivered to them on a monthly basis in Xity. So normally I have like always bought from just the rice stores in bulk. And these rice stores, we all know who own the rice stores in Liberia. Mostly they are not Liberian owned. So then I heard, and I'm not going to name names, I stumbled upon this information through my brother about a Liberian who's like producing rice in Liberia on a large scale. And I was super happy, excited about it, right? Here is a Liberian doing something great, and I need to patronize. So I was supposed to go to visit Liberia around the end of December last year, 2023. So in advance of my visit, I decided to buy some bags of rice, 20 bags of rice, just to test the waters of this new opportunity with purchasing from a Liberian. This is a small amount of money, 20 bags of rice, pay for it. I sent the money to my brother, and then my brother spoke directly to the guy who is the CEO of this company, this entity, a Liberian CEO who owns this company. And there is a lot of buzz about this being entirely Liberian owned, and a lot of buzz about the advocacy that they can actually feed Liberia and all of this. And when I hear those things, like it makes me feel super happy. So for me, doing that was just a way of saying, like, let's do this. I've been waiting for such an opportunity to actually spend my money into a Liberian business, especially for this thing that I regularly purchase, which is the staple food. But this time around, for this Christmas visit, I wasn't purchasing this rice for my workers. I had already done that before I learned of this. But in advance of my trip, I wanted to actually buy these 20 bags of rice and have my people in Liberia basically just share this for family members, right? A lot of old people, right? Look, you know how Liberia or Africa is like we all have our old man then, right? Who we used to like go to when things were tough, you're hungry or this and that. And first of all, like they say a child is not raised by a single parent in Africa. Like it takes a village, right? That phrase, it takes a village to raise a child. So we all like, this is not uncommon for all of us to know 5 or 6 or more old man, right? Old folks that we care about. So I wanted to surprise these old folks, mostly older folks, with this rice, right? Relatives, people whom I knew when I was, struggling back in Liberia and things like that. And I normally do this like in various forms. This time around, I wanted to include rice. So the idea of that was to purchase that rice, have it distributed for my folks, for these people, before I even arrived there. I landed in Liberia on the 31st of December. So I wouldn't be there before Christmas. So I wanted to send this rice, like have it distributed before Christmas, right? As their holiday gifts, right? For Christmas and New Year. And we paid for this rice, I believe, in November. That's how early we paid for this rice. And the promise was made that we would get delivery of the rice in 2 weeks. So that basically, at the latest, it put us around I think end of November or first week of December. The date came and passed. The rice wasn't delivered. And mind you, we already had communications about, who in Liberia would be the contact person to deliver this rice to. And I was not involved directly with the CEO of this company. So it was my brother and him communicating, my brother providing all of the information for the rice to be delivered to someone in Liberia, to a specific location, and this person would then do the distribution for me. And the reason why I wasn't involved into that is not because I don't engage with businesses, but there are certain level of transactions, basically delegate that, just because it helps me focus on the main things I need to be focused on, right? But 20 bags of rice, really, it wasn't my thing to be that involved in it. But my brother always timely give me updates on where the discussions was, what is the expected date of delivery of the rice, because these are things I enforce in the culture of Xity, right? So he, like, knowing me, how I work, like, I didn't even have to tell him. Like, he provided like regular updates on this discussion between he and the CEO. And the date came, the first expected delivery date came and passed. And then my brother provided an update and said he provided some excuses that the rice wasn't like what was brought to town from wherever they are sourcing the rice, right? When they process it from the processing site, when they bring it to Monrovia, they have brought in adequate quantities, so we should be patient a little bit. And then my only feedback to my brother was, well, remember, the holiday season, that's the intent of the rice, so make sure you get that. So at the time, it wasn't even like an issue of concern for me, right? Because I understand like businesses, logistics in Liberia can be difficult. So totally understood. It was really not anything of concern, right? Just, get it done at some point. Fine. Second week of December, I think the third week of December had come and the rice wasn't delivered. My brother started getting a little nervous, right? And when he gets nervous, like he's trying to judge at what point to bring it to my attention, because I don't want all of that little details, right? And at what point, like, he should maybe take things to a different level, right? So he's kind of in between there, and he's suffering from that indecision. And because he doesn't also want it to get too late, because I would then accuse him of not, giving me clear updates so that I would know the gravity of the situation, and then potentially also like do like a fallback plan, right? Like maybe purchase rice locally and give it to the folks and then do something else. But I think he kept trusting that this person was going to deliver, because again, this is someone with a lot of hype, and I really do, like, honestly, I still really hope that he is successful, because this is a major situation. This is a major area, sector, right, that I would love to see a Liberian pick up and champion. So with that level of interest, like, it pains me to even narrate this story. But there's a cautionary aspect of it, that as interested as I am in our national building, our national self-sufficiency and our national pride to see ourselves take on some of these major challenges and execute them, I will be super, super proud to see us Liberians doing these things. But at the same time, I feel like I need to softly remind people that we have to be careful, right? Who are the people that are doing these things? And when we see some red flags, we need to flag these things so that it doesn't escalate to a point where it's almost like you start feeling guilty of why you did not sound the alarm bells during the early stages, and you waited until a lot of people became victims. And I really hope that this was a one-off error. But again, you will see in the story that it's something it's hard to, because I was always leaning that this might be a one-off error, right? But I will narrate the story and you can make your own judgment. So back to the story. So at this point, my brother is really confused. Like, what should he do? Should he start? So at some point, I think Christmas, like a week to Christmas, he kind of, a few days to Christmas, he kind of just, spill everything out in text messages. Hey, I'm really struggling with this guy. Like, he keeps promising me. I have called him multiple times. He keeps making promises. And now, close to Christmas, he's not picking up my text. He doesn't reply. He doesn't pick up my calls. Meanwhile, around the same holidays, this guy is, still advertising his business up and down on Facebook. This is what is aggravating my brother, because this guy is promising customers that they should still keep, paying for, delivery of rice. But meanwhile, here's a customer who's paid for 20 bags and is not getting it. So when he told me, I told him, I was like, my first response to him was like, okay, I can understand that. Like, that is an irresponsible business practice. That was my first thought. It's just being irresponsible on his part, on the CEO part, not telling your customer the real underlying issues and being honest and give him a realistic date that he should expect delivery, right? Do not promise what you cannot deliver on. But knowing Liberia, this is a common practice in Liberia, even in the contractors. When we make deals, like, they will renege on those deals and just silently let things fail silently. In fact, this is a common thing. Silent failure is what they do, right? They do not tell you that, oh, you and I agreed that I will complete this work on a certain date, but due to certain circumstances, I'm not going to be able to complete this. So can we renegotiate a different ETA, right? They won't do that. So that's the same thing. I thought this is maybe a common practice. Mind you, this is a CEO who sits in the United States. So I expect that he should know better. But again, because he is Liberian, I said these people sometimes, us, let me not say these people, sorry. We Liberians sometimes do not leave our like customary behavior behind, even when we are exposed to better environment where we should now learn better because of our exposure. We still continue to do these things no matter where we are, right? So those are some of the connections I was making and trying to not necessarily excuse his behavior, but to explain his behavior. So that is what. So I was basically pegging all of his behavior towards that carelessness, negligence. And then, so the Christmas came and passed, right? Between Christmas and New Year, still there were no signs that this was going to happen. So I had to basically mitigate the circumstances by doing cash delivery only, right, to some of these family members instead of cash plus rice. Because I already knew this was not going to be delivered in the time, but not angry or anything, to be honest, at that point. I just knew that, okay, there's the normal behavior in Liberia, so it kind of like lowered my enthusiasm for the level of business service, right, the customer service display. But I was still hopeful that this is like real solid business. In fact, I did not question the integrity of the business. I questioned the customer service of the business at this point. But then I went to Liberia now in January, and so I'm there. I got there on the 31st of December, so I'm there in January. And yeah, the new year passed. In fact, this became like a perfect opportunity for me to really have that rice and, distribute it around. Because everyone knows in Liberia, people do their best to put up some type of like celebratory mood in the holidays, and they will spend their lives to make sure, for example, their kids have food, their kids have, something nice to wear. So they run out of all of their money. And in January, in fact, is one of the toughest months in Liberia. In fact, normally people say January January is so long because when you are broke, if you are working, you're waiting for your pay at the end of January, and because you've spent all of your money for the holiday celebrations, the days go by so slowly because you're just waiting and hoping for the month to end, right? So it's tough. People are hungry, right? Like, it's tough. So I was saying, well, maybe this could be a blessing in disguise. Now that we have the rice in January, I can actually surprise people in January, right? After all of they've depleted their reserves of, food and other things. Now I can be able to give them this thing. But that was never going to happen because this CEO, whenever he would answer my brother's call or whenever he would reply to the text, it was always more promises about when he would deliver. It was never, now it became concerning, more and more concerning now, because it was never concrete, like a concrete reason why the rice wasn't delivered. But it was just like, oh, let's do next week. And my brother would say, but why wasn't it delivered? Like, that conversation, that response wasn't always there. So you don't know a concrete reason, what is going on, why the rice is not being delivered. Meanwhile, he's still, advertising very bullish about his business, right? That people should keep purchasing. Like it's there. Like, it's all online. He keeps doing the reinforcing these messages, right? Going on some, talk shows, like popular talk shows, and then promoting it, right? And setting the agenda that he's one of the leaders in the sector and the government should invest into him and people should invest and come together. So he's championing a cause. So this is the concern. He's championing a cause. And this is a very serious cause that is dear to everyone, all of us. And I really do wish that the end of this story should not just be the end of that, like, the bigger story, right, of Liberians championing this cause of thing, and even his participation in it, because I still think that he's done a lot of important work here, but this is the concerning thing. So anyway, so he's making all of these things, but yet he's not delivering his promise. So I think I stayed there until the end of January. No rice came, and then I came back, and when I got back, I think my brother was upset now completely with him, and my brother told him that he would embarrass this guy on Facebook, on all of his ads that he will post, or his videos or anything promoting this business. He will go under there and request his money. Oh, by the way, before he came to that decision, he had come to the conclusion that this guy wasn't going to deliver the rice, so he should get the money back. And he communicated that to me. I said, yeah, sure, get your money back. But then the money would not be paid back. Look, this is small amount for 20 bucks or like it's little amount. So that is the part where I started getting concerned at from, pegging all of this to, just negligence to being suspicious about the integrity of this business. So you owe someone such a little amount for such a large business. You have already missed the delivery dates by I don't know how many times, the 100th time, right? And the person is asking now for their money, but he keep promising to. So many promises again were made about when he will pay back the money, and he's not paying back the money. So about a month had elapsed since the conversation went from deliver rice to no, we can't deliver. Sorry, we can't deliver rice to okay, give me back my money. Okay, I'll give you back your money tomorrow, another tomorrow, and just unfulfilled promises. So that became a concern, and my brother started pressuring me and say so he's concerned that he doesn't want to do something that will upset me because he knows that I support Liberian businesses and I care about the image of Liberian businesses. Like, think about it. Like, I want nothing but the positive image of Liberian businesses. So my brother is concerned now about what he should do. Should he take some action that he know I won't support? So I told him not to. I told him to give this guy about 2 weeks, this little amount of money. He should not make noise and potentially taint his business reputation just because for this amount. Whatever is going on, let him just be honest. And I told my brother that, like, ask him what's happening. Like, let's just understand this, right? Like, I'm a big supporter of Liberian businesses. And my brother tried to have that conversation with this guy. He started ignoring him. So my brother told me finally and said, look, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to get that money back. We're not going to let that money go. I'm going to get it back. And everybody, like, who knows me, they say that I'm soft and I should stop being soft, especially as, someone who's doing a business in Liberia, because, the terrain is rough. People will intentionally try to just rob you daylight, right? Like, think that they can just get away by just using their mouth and just talking loud and, trying to kind of intimidate you. And here I'm trying to be logical, always trying to talk to people softly. A lot of people have accused me of that. Not only accused me of being too soft for the environment, they have encouraged me to actually hire someone to be like the whip hand for me, really. Like the right hand, like real whip hand. Like seriously, people have told me that. And I've said no, I can handle things. So my brother too was basically usurping the authority to like go after this guy in a more ruthless manner than I would approve of. So I was like, okay, yeah. I tried to mitigate situation by like calming my brother down, and this has taken months now. So what would I use to convince my brother not to do it? Like, yeah, I care about business reputation, but at the same time, I do understand that people should not take advantages of people like that. So the concern became like from negligence to, is it possible that this guy is actually taking advantage of other people and not just my brother? So that was the concern. That was the question I asked myself, and convinced me to say, hey, I'm just going to, not hold my brother back anymore. And I let him do what he wanted to do. And this is what would happen. So this guy would go on Facebook, and while he's making his live videos and talking about his business, my brother would go underneath and say, you owe me this amount, and he refused to deliver the rice, give him back my money. Immediately, you fail to give him back. And this guy would jump right away. Now, for a guy who would not respond to text messages, but once my brother go under his feet and put statements like, he would jump right into my brother DM and start negotiating deals, right? Appealing to him and this and that. So this happened multiple times. So when it happened the first time and he appealed to my brother came by and shared the messages with me. And I was surprised, like, okay, what is this guy? Like, if someone, first of all, if the business is healthy, and for this small amount of money, he should be able to pay that very quickly. Like, this should not take another day, especially where your business reputation is now being challenged in the public space. Pay that money quickly. The fact that he did not pay that money immediately, and my brother had to do this thing, this public, like, accosting of him multiple times, and it took at least several weeks before he was finally able, because my brother had been persistent in doing this, before he paid back the money. In the end, he paid back the money. That's the good news. But because he did that, it still got me thinking, like, this business is now like raising that concern in my mind that it should be investigated. Because if we are pegging this business as something that is fulfilling a national duty, and some of us are basically hopeful that it will succeed and we can potentially invest in it, And other people around could potentially do that. But if the financials of the business are not healthy to repay, like to refund a customer, a a a, a a mistreated customer, like an unfulfilled promise of delivery, refunded at the appropriate time. If that is not possible for a small amount, then where's the health of this business, right? So those are my concerns. And also the behavior of the CEO is a behavior that inspires like investment at a national level into this business. Those are the questions I've had in my mind. So I think this conversation is about like us as Liberians, or even entrepreneurs, even at a micro level in our homes and wherever. I think the one thing we fail to realize that honesty is everything, man. Like if you are doing business, like the one thing that is clear is that you can work for 30, 50 years and you earn the trust of people and you have that reputation. It takes very small deviation from that trust that has been, like, it takes a small deviation from that reputation to ruin everything. So you work extremely hard to earn your customers' trust, but you can lose that very quickly. And once customers distrust you, it can be, in some instances, it can be extremely difficult to impossible to retain or to regain that trust. Not even retain it, to regain that trust, right? So Liberian entrepreneurs, man, like this is an appeal to all of us. Like if you are unable to deliver on a promise, be proactive in the communication. Tell your customers, I am not able to do this at this time, at this agreed upon time. Can you give me a week or two? And if you're not happy, you want me to refund your money, unfortunately, because of my cash flow cycle, can you give me this time? I apologize. I know I'm supposed to refund you immediately because I'm the one who's breaking the contract. But please, due to cash flow situations, please give me this X, Y, Z number of days to pay you, or weeks, or months. Like, let's be open. Let's be transparent. Let's communicate with our customers. And I think the thing, like, look, it's not just about the communication, but you have to be concerned. You have to care about the reputation of your business, because that's the most important thing. Like the trust of your customers, like that is the most important thing. If you lose that, you're not going anywhere with your business. So I think for this particular business I referenced, I'm really, really hoping that this was a one-off incident. But I really hope that others have not had the same experience. And because, these type of things are happening, like, one person has to speak up, then you see people start popping up, because sometimes people are either afraid that their voice may just be muted, in a sea of like highly supportive voices. But sometimes it can turn out that there are actually a sea of disgruntled people, dissatisfied people, unhappy people, mistreated people, but no one wants to raise their hand up first. And my fear is that when we refuse to speak up about these things, we are enabling a behavior of certain people that can actually outgrow control at certain point. It's too late to stop this type of behavior at certain point, because the person or the business becomes so powerful that no amount of like retaliation from single individuals can do anything. Or sometimes it may bring the business down, but the destruction that the business may have caused has already blown up in everyone's faces, that even if that business is stopped at that point, that damage is so huge, it leaves an indelible mark in the industry. It tints other businesses that are standing in the industry. Recently, one of the things closest to what I do in Liberia that has tinted the industry is the thing about an industrial or residential home company that was building some homes for people, right, on the Arai Highway, where people paid some money, they didn't get their homes built. So now that I speak about Xity, it's along the Arai Highway, I went to visit my uncle the other day, and they had watched some episodes of Xity. So my uncle was telling his guests, "Oh, that's my nephew. He's the one who's building Xity." And he said, "What?" And my uncle was trying to explain that, "Oh, the city with residential communities along the Arai Highway." And the expression that came out of this guy's mouth, he was like, "Is it the guy who took the people money and they didn't build the homes?" So you see that type of association? People, like, without knowing the differences there, they carry those type of connotations, even if they know that this is a different entity. But that basically affects their decision making when they deal with you, or when they choose not to deal. It influences them sometimes to basically distrust the entire industry and say, I'm not going to do business with anybody when it comes to real estate in Liberia. And that is the very thing that I am trying to undo. That type of tainted like reputation of the industry. I'm trying to undo that. But then recently, just recently, when I saw that, it affected me. I see the residential like this whole I see this like construction industry as a collaborative thing. We just need to actually innovate and build better homes, better buildings, right? More environmentally friendly designs, and etc., right? Those are the things we need to be doing together. But I would rather see other people succeeding at doing this than failing because of like just bad reputation, because it taints the industry. It reinforces the negative connotation that already is associated with, Liberian construction industry, right? Or trusting people and sending money for people to build for them. Many people in the diaspora have been victimized because of those type of behavior. So I'm going to stop here. Once again, the example I provided is just one of many examples that I know of, like of trying to support Liberian businesses. But this particular one, I don't know, like I have had no previous experience of this industry, but that example was a bad experience, poor experience that basically went from, this is just poor customer service to questionable behavior, like in terms of like not only poor customer service, but something is fishy here. Like, is there some type of scheme going on, like that has like some nefarious like intent behind it? So those were the things that were bubbling in my mind and still puzzles me about this like whole business of this person, right? So I'm not passing judgment, and I'm not saying this business is a dirty or shady business. I really, really hope it is not, because it is in my best interest. It's not because I morally support this type of thing by Liberians. But I will stop there, and I hope Liberian entrepreneurs, business owners, let's take this seriously. Let's make sure that we keep in the back of our head constantly that trust is extremely difficult to earn from customers, particularly when those customers are already suspicious of your industry or of your market. The Liberian market is already under suspicion. And then also note that though it is extremely hard to attain, it is easy to lose. In your dealing with customers, let's try to be transparent. If we make some promises, and we should be careful what promises we make in terms of our delivery. If we make promises that we cannot fulfill at some point, because contingencies arise. When those contingencies arise, that changes your delivery date, right? Or that changes the parameters or the features or the promised features of whatever product you're supposed to deliver or services. Communicate with your customers, with your clients. Tell them explicitly, this is the situation I find myself in. Most people will respect that and understand that. They may be upset, like for a short period of time, but they'll respect that clear communication from you. This is important for us to do. So I really hope that somebody takes this, and whoever may know which business I'm talking about, like have that conversation with that person. I don't know them personally, and like the experience just doesn't inspire confidence in me to approach them and talk to them about it. If it was customer service thing, okay, but this kind of behavior now, like what am I expected to go say to the person? If they want to reach out to me and apologize for my experience, then that's a conversation starter. But I don't have any intent to really go to them and talk to them about it. As I said, this was a transaction between my brother and this person, this business, right? Although it was my money, right? It was basically my brother connecting me because he knows that I love to promote Liberian businesses, and so that's the situation. I'm going to stop there. But specifically within the construction industry, I think we need to do more to really earn and retain our customers' trust in all businesses, as a matter of fact, in Liberia. Thank you. Bye-bye.